So, how did you get into photography then?
I realised through school that I wasn't academic. So I'm not very good at English, well, maths, science, that kind of stuff. Okay at English. So then I went to Hereford College of Art and Design to do, it was a general art course. And it wasn't long until I realised on that course that I can't draw. I'm terrible at drawing. No matter how much I want what I see and what I want my hand to copy, it wasn't happening. There's a miscommunication here. So I wasn't very good at drawing. I tried other mediums like working in plasticine, because I did do a bit of stop motion animation at school. Love Wallace and Gromit and that kind of stuff. So I tried doing that, but I couldn't do a whole course in that. And so after 6 months I had to leave the course because I wasn't going to finish it. So then September rolled around again and I applied for the photography course at Hereford College of Art and Design, same place, and got on the course, and straight away after being given the first projects and when they said just go out, photograph friends, something clicked straight away that I'd finally found a medium that I could transfer all my ideas, because I knew I was creative, but I just hadn't found that right place of where I fit in yet. I discovered photography of, yes, this works for me. I have all these ideas and I have this device to transfer them and get them out and then have a physical representation of what I'm thinking about. And I fell in love with it straight away, and it really motivated me and got me very passionate about whatever I was photographing. But because it was a start, I knew that I loved photography, but I was yet to discover what about photography I loved to photograph.
Okay. And how did that ended up in fashion? Like what the journey was?
There was a long gap between starting photography to discovering that I love fashion photography. Well, actually I did a couple of projects on it at Hereford. I first went around and photographed friends, so like here's Matt, and still looking back at these, even though this is some of the first photographs. No, this doesn't matter. Okay. These are some of the first photographs I shot on 35mm, and I loved them. You know, they're very simple and they captured him, and they captured the fact that I was observing him and he wasn't posing, so it felt natural to me. So straight away I kind of felt like I was good at capturing people. I knew that, you know, I was maybe not so much then when I was 18, good at communicating to people, you know, using my camera as, what do you call it, a buffer to kind of talk to people and can I take a photo, that kind of stuff. So I kind of liked it for that as well, the fact that it gave me something different to do, I guess, similar to Nick and what he used to do. And
especially girls.
Yeah, definitely worked. So then I was at college, and where I was in Hereford there were loads of bridges, so I photographed some bridges, this one underneath. I shot this medium format, and it was the first time I tried medium format, and really loved the detail of it, what it captured, and yeah, think about all that kind of stuff. It was my first experience of working in the studio, you know, after your introductions, and then, you know, just trying to use the lights and understanding what light does and how it moves around and
what difference it makes.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is girl I was going out with, Helen, who was also on the photography course, and I loved how, well, just simple lighting could be, but still incredibly effective. And to capture photos like this, I was really happy. I still am happy with how this looks as like a first attempt. And you know, she was always very kind of quiet and mousy, and not confident, so it was a challenge to try and get some relaxed photos out of her, but even though there's just 3, I'm still pretty happy with them.
Was there any moments that you think of as some kind of breakthrough, that you had some kind of realization that was really stayed with you for life?
Yeah. We were given one of our early briefs at Hereford's, and it was a fashion brief. They said, we want you to pick a brand, a clothing brand, and make some photos on it, you know, make it a campaign, but a couple of photos, it can be 1 or 2 or 5, whatever you want to kind of tell a story. So at that time, I think it was early 2000, 2001, I was, you know, like, loved jeans like everyone does, and Levi's had just released the Levi's Twisted, and so I thought everyone's always loved Levi 501s. It's that classic shape, and from when it first started to still now, people wear that kind of cut of jeans. And then there's this Levi's Twisted, let's put that over there. Levi's Twisted, which is the new one. And so I just thought of this idea of like past, present, where it was to where it is now. And I thought of this idea of, okay, guy meets a girl outside of a club. They're both wearing Levi 501s, and she writes her phone number on his chest. It's like, that's past, you know, that's the thing that did happen. She writes in lipstick on his chest, so I did that. And then I wanted to do present, and then the present was Levi's Twisted, and this time a girl meets a girl outside of a club, because, you know, it's all about gay is more accepted in even 2000, when, you know, it's still the early days, but it was kind of like you're aware of it and it's fine and there's not so much of an issue with it. And instead of writing her phone number, she writes her email address on her chest. And I thought, this is such a brilliant, simple idea that just comes across so easily.
No, but I'm just kind of curious how you went through different types of photography, because obviously you were really into snowboarding and bands along the way. So
Yeah.
how that transition came?
Well, I think I've always loved music. It's always been such a huge part of who I am. Going to gigs, listening to music, constantly listening to music. And I went to my first gig when I was 11. I was blown away at 11 going to a gig and seeing people jump around and have loads of fun and watch a band and see the interaction between the guy on stage and the whole band on stage and the audience, and just the passion, the absolute passion between everyone. It was amazing. And then I wanted more and more, and then, you know, like, I'd love rock, so I went to see Sepultura and Korn and Deftones and just all that kind of stuff, and then it was the gig that changed everything for me was Marilyn Manson Antichrist Superstar Tour, and it made me realise you can be a really good band, but if you're performing, you have got to be a great showman as well. And he was doing things where he was on a podium ripping pages out of the Bible, and the crowd was just going insane. It was mental. And then he came out on like stilts and arm stilts, and he was like an insect. It was, and like he had like a headpiece to talk into. And then later on, towards the end of the gig, he was they were playing, I think, one of their quieter songs, and in front of the stage it looked like snow, but it was foam. All these little droplets of snow and foam were coming down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the lighting changed to a strobe light. So it looked like an animation right in front of us. I'd never seen anything like it. Like, this is life, but this is like an animated film. I couldn't believe it. And then they just put on a red light, and then you saw this red blood snow animated, and I couldn't believe how amazing it was. It was just incredible. And so yeah, just carry on going to loads. Still to this day, that is the best gig I've ever been to. Yeah. And so from gigs around, so I spent most of my youth in Wolverhampton. I grew up in Shropshire in a little village, but my friends were in Wolverhampton. So from going to all these gigs, I wanted to photograph it. I wanted to somehow share this moment with other people. Like all my friends go, like, this gig was amazing, you should have been there. And I was only ever really taking disposable cameras. You know, like the throwaway ones you get from Boots or something. And I can't think of a single photo I took at those gigs that did it justice. Because they were all kind of like throwaway cameras, automatic, because you weren't really allowed to take cameras in. So I was kind of hiding it down the front of my trousers and getting in with it and then taking photos. And you know, when the flash was used, it kind of ruined the atmosphere of the lights and everything. And then when I wasn't using the flash, it would all be too dark. So I was frustrated with that, but you know, still making sure that I was going like, this gig's amazing. But again, really going, I can't wait to go there and take photos and show all my mates kind of like in the element what we're doing, our youth culture of it.
When you actually started doing the bands, obviously at some point, obviously I know that you then illegally came in as a photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, I was just...
you tried everything?
Yeah, it came from... The only thing it came from when I was younger was, I want to capture this. I want to still look back at these photos after the gig because, you know, this is like the best hour and a half. I remember the amount of times I've said and looked at mates during those gigs going, this is the best time of my life, this is amazing right now. And I just wanted to capture that somehow in photography. And I had a lot of friends who were in bands, so I'd always go to their gigs and photograph them, and that was better because that was when I wasn't using just a throwaway camera, but I'd use my Canon A1.
Because you could.
Yeah, because I was allowed to go in. Yeah.
Yes.
And they weren't playing like big venues like the Civic, they were playing pubs.
Yes.
Pubs. But you know, that changed everything because the setup is pretty crap in those pubs and clubs and all that kind of stuff.
But then you can be close.
Very true, yeah. So I could capture like their intensity. Around, I guess, 16, 17, I got into skateboarding because up at the top of the Civic in Wolverhampton is like a flat area, perfect for skateboarding. They had these banks where you could kind of skate up along. And I was loving watching them, and then I got into it and I loved skateboarding and I loved the kind of freedom it gave me. Like, hated the frustration of trying to learn to ollie for 3 months and not getting it, and then eventually something just making sense. And then just doing it, and then also going, well, here's another culture. I mean, I wasn't thinking of words like that when I was that age, but like, my mates skateboard, I want to photograph them skateboarding as well. And I love the fact that I was photographing them, so they were very happy about the fact that I'd chosen them to photograph, which meant that they were trying to do those tricks the best they could.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like we were kind of feeding off each other, our creativity. I wanted to capture them and they wanted to get a good photo that they could see themselves, but you know, and it was, I felt at the time, and still looking back, I did get some good photos, and like, my friends were really happy with them, and I made sure that I printed them up and gave them the sets, going like, yeah man, thank you so much, here you go. And yeah, just throughout the years, and then Al skated as well, and his little brother was just like the best skater out of all of us. Really annoying, but you know, it's all friendly competition in skating.
And then snowboarding came as well?
Yeah, finished college, it was at the time University of Central England, which then became Birmingham City University.
Yeah.
But when I finished my Hereford College of Art and Design course in photography, I went for an interview at Hereford, and I didn't get on the degree course. They said, we think you've got a way to go, so go second year National Diploma course, so only do this for a year, then it's automatic acceptance. I did that for a year, and during that time I met some friends that got me into snowboarding. And because I'd always skateboarded, it was just like, okay, go do it. And I went to the Snow Dome a couple of times, loved it, and then some friends were like, we're going to go do a season in Teens and French Alps. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah. I've wasted a year.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go get some life education and just experience life and try and do it that way. I had a great time. Took some okay photos, but I felt like I was kind of out of my element. First of all, snowboarding with other people that could snowboard with.
Yes.
Spent my first week on my ass just picking myself back up. But then again, something clicked and I was just doing it as always, and it felt so natural and right, and yeah, I love it. I'll never forget the first time ever going up on a chairlift, and it's so kind of, you're going up a mountain on a chairlift and it's such a sharp, steep ride up. You're like, oh my god, I'm actually going over a mountain on a little rickety chair. And then you're at the top and you get off and you kind of scurry along and you put your bindings on, and I'll never forget that first realisation that it's so silent, it's so peaceful up here. Never experienced anything like that.
Really?
It's so beautiful. Just, you look around and you just see the mountain ranges, clear blue skies, fresh powder, and like that's one of my favourite sounds in the world. When you're putting your foot on untouched snow, that crunch.
Yeah.
Because it's like a feeling and a sound. Oh, it's beautiful. So, yeah, I did that, went snowboarding and loved it and just got hooked. And then came back to England, and as much money I could to go back out and keep doing seasons. And yeah, couldn't really find any contacts in terms of snowboard photography.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about uni? What happened in university, what you learned?
Yeah, I only went back to university because I knew I was a good photographer, but I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. I knew that I tried a lot of various different things over the years, of gig photography and fashion and portrait and snowboards and a little bit of architecture photography as well, but I didn't know where I should go. So I was hoping that uni would give me that kind of guidance. And in a nutshell, it did. It gave me everything I wanted it to. It's where we met in our first year.
Yes.
And the first year of uni, it was a case of, they said, right, go and find some fashion people to work with, and you were doing retail fashion degree?
No, fashion design.
Fashion design.
Styling.
Fashion style and design. And I went with a friend, Alan, up to the fashion department, and I said, hi, I'm a photographer, I'm down in the art department. If any of you fashion students need a photographer, then let me know, here are my details. I gave them to your friend Anna,
Yes.
our friend Anna.
Yeah.
And then she gave me your details, and then we started working together from the first year. And even though I'd done some work in the studio in college, and a little bit when I did that National Diploma course at Birmingham City Uni when it was University of Central England, I did love the studio environment. I absolutely adored the fact that you could manipulate the lighting and what ends up in camera within this space. You could see it's very controlling, control free, but I love that. The contrast of, I love snowboarding and photographing snowboarding because you cannot control anything out there. you are there, you can capture how it is. You could have a flash or two just to make sure that you capture it perfectly how you want. I mean, generally the lighting up there, if it's bluebird skies, is beautiful. So you know, you're lucky to have good lighting up on the mountains. But at the same time, it's uncontrollable. You've got to work with what you're presented. So I love the contrast of the studio and how you have complete control. So I spent most of my uni in the studio and working on briefs, and through you, your briefs, and you know, you were pretty much my stylist throughout the 3 years of uni, and still to this day they are like some of my favourite photo shoots I've done, because we had so much fun together, because we bounced ideas so well off each other.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was awesome. Learn loads.
Sometimes even on the spot.
Exactly.
It's just, you just never know.
Yes.
Sometimes we had an idea, but then, oh my god, but this works so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I think, you know, a lot of the times we were working with models who weren't comfortable in front of the camera, because, you know, we're all quite young, and I'm trying to get this to work, and they're unsure, we're unsure, and it gave us a good kick up the arse lesson of we've got to be confident and know, so that to give them the right kind of direction. And it was through that course learning that you are a mirror for that model, you know, like you do the poses and then they copy you and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, learned so much. I really enjoyed it the whole time. And then by the end of the 3 years, it did give me direction. It gave me exactly what I wanted to do. Of, I want to be a fashion photographer. I want to have my photos on the front cover of Vogue. I want to assist for Nick Knight. And like from then, like it was, you told me about his show studio exhibition in 2009 at Somerset House. And you went to and you're like, oh my god, it's amazing, Adam. And I was like, I have to go. And so I went separately. I went down to London one time with the uni, and that was to go see a Andy Warhol exhibition at the Tate Modern on consumerism. So I said to my tutor, I was like, my friend told me about this exhibition at Somerset House. It's not too far, I'm going to go there. And I'm so glad I did. Changed everything for me. You know, like how a photographer can show you this whole world that isn't, the beginning and the end isn't that photo. It's this whole world behind it. I didn't realise that there were issues in racism and sexism within the fashion industry. It kind of, made me realise so much and got me so excited and motivated to want to create, to want to be part of this world. And then a week later we did that shoot with Connie, with the really oily shoot.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, got it right here.
I love some of those photos until now.
Yeah, still
I just
there.
can't believe it sometimes,
Yeah.
Just the focus we've had and blah, just brilliant.
Yeah. Yes, like doing some backlighting. And you said your thing about this one was like, okay, I want it to be really kind of oily, greasy, but so the light really picks up the skin texture. I remember you saying that and just going on about.
And the light at the back.
Yeah, backlit. And this one. Still, I think.
I love that. This is my favourite.
Yeah.
I love it until now.
Yeah, so simple. You know, simple.
But this is it, I did on this and this I love.
Really, like looking at it now, it kind of has a very Spanish dancer.
That's true.
Yeah. And I mean, great styling, the fact that she's all in black, but just this tease of a red that, you know, it really brought the whole shoot to life.
I just love it.
Close
Yeah.
up. Yeah,
I just love
really
it.
moody.
I love it. Yeah.
But I was really going off like, okay, what can I learn?
Tell me, why you on the course?
Why am I mastered?
Yeah, why you chose that? Because technically you could have chosen any other, you know. I'm not really sure myself why you on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, after I graduated uni,
Yeah.
I thought I've enjoyed education, but from failed art course, 2 national diploma courses and a degree in photography, I was like, I've enjoyed it, but I'm not doing any more education. But I'm on this course because I feel that everything I've done and all my creativity, I'm not getting everyone in the world to see my photography. I know I'm good enough. I want everyone to see my work. I want everyone to see my ideas. I want them to see what I produce.
Yeah.
And at uni, you are given fake briefs. You know, what I mean by that is, imagine you're pitching to Vogue. Imagine you're coming up with an editorial for this brand. It's always imagine that the idea of it. These are real briefs set by real industry standards. There's a real audience there. I don't know if these people have seen my work, but I know that there's a hell of a lot more chance of them seeing it now rather than if I'm on a university course. There's actual real possibilities of getting work connections through what I've done, through everything I've done up until this point. And now being back on this course, I'm just loving so much doing these briefs, the fact that, you know, planning a shoot, doing that oyster brief, and then doing the research for it and mood boards, and then, you know, working till like 2 a.m. and like really enjoying working to a deadline again. When I'm doing a shoot, when I'm planning it, I am looking at all the different aspects, I'm taking everything into account, like the how do I want the makeup, what do I want to go for that person would be great for it. And like, I love that I can allow my brain to go on overdrive and just think about all these different individual, completely equally important aspects and bring it all together, and then doing the shoot just so focused on how it's going to be, that outcome, that look, and the passion that gives me during it. And that you can see everyone else in the team really kind of thrive and embrace it and love it, and then having actual physical ends to it. Like, the project is done, here are the results. I love that. But what's next? And moving forward, and okay, this is what's next. And that's what's so amazing about the fashion one. The fact, as Nick pointed it out, it's constantly going forward. It's never stand still for a second. So there's always more work. There's always places to go. And I just love it. You know, the fact that it's endless possibilities. And I know that I have the skill and capability to be part of it. And I just want to make sure I have an audience for it.
Cool. Yeah.